Welcome to Woodberry Works in Progress, which our guest today has more exotically dubbed Poetry Laboratorio. One day this past fall, I was wandering along the northeast corner of Zuccotti Park when I beheld a man at a table composing poetry with a magic marker. And since every activity in that park seemed to have an implicit invitation, I sat down at the cardboard table and began contributing to the collective word count. It was one of the few card tables on earth where being a poet and a librarian were considered useful, sexy, and heroic. What I didn't know is that I'd found myself in the headquarters of the People's Library, the collective public library of Occupy Wall Street, and seated next to one of the leaders of the albeit leaderless library system. The facilities there and most of the collection were destroyed by the New York Public I almost said the New York Public Library. I am so sorry. By the NYPD in the November 15th raid on Liberty Plaza, which was a pivotal day in the evolution of the movement, but certainly not its end. If you really want to understand Occupy Wall Street, you have to talk to the poets, or so said the New York Observer. Here to share his observations on Occupy Wall Street and to reflect on the active role of poets and poetry since the whole shebang began on September 17th is Filip Marinovich. Please welcome him.
Thanks so much for coming. The timing is really great because Lamont Cafe is being occupied as we speak, and we're here occupying the poetry room. So, I mean, this is really great stuff. So I'm gonna talk and read some poems, and we'll do Q&A. We'll discuss all kinds of things. The first thing I want to do is just deliver this. I just want to hear what this sounds like in this context. This is the text of, this is the opening paragraph, from the opening paragraph of Emerson's address to the ecology school. This is when Emerson was talking about global warming. In this refulgent summer, it has been a luxury to draw the breath of life. The grass grows, the buds burst, the meadow is spotted with fire and gold in the tint of flowers. The air is full of birds and sweet with the breath of the pine, the balm of Gilead, and the new hay. Night brings no gloom to the heart with its welcome shade. Through the transparent darkness, the stars pour their almost spiritual rays. Because I just feel so crazed to be here with, I know it was cold yesterday, but it just feels like summer right now. I mean, I'm drinking this iced coffee. I was at the hotel, and I turned on the TV, and there's this hotel open channel where they have a fireplace. It's just this screen of a fire, just like a fire crackling. You know, there's like logs, and there's flames going on, and it's fire, and you just look at this, and it's supposed to sort of lull you into sleep. It's supposed to be this kind of hypnotic thing. And I was thinking, kind of the whole mission of occupying Zuccotti Park during the period, or Liberty Park, during the period of the encampment, was to kind of take the fire out of the screen and make a real fire again. So to perform this kind of Promethean feat of making a real fire happen. Or as Benjamin said, to create a real emergency. From his theses on the philosophy of history, the tradition of the oppressed teaches us that the state of emergency in which we live is not the exception but the rule. We must attain to a conception of history that is in keeping with this insight. Then we shall clearly realize that it is our task to bring about a real state of emergency, and this will improve our position in the struggle against fascism. One reason why fascism has a chance is that in the name of progress, its opponents treat it as a historical norm. The current amazement that the things we are experiencing are still possible in the 20th century is not philosophical. This amazement is not the beginning of knowledge unless it is the knowledge that the view of history which gives rise to it is untenable. So we're talking about taking this passivity, this hypnagogic technology, and exploding it and coming out from behind our screens, because we're all so obsessed and addicted to screens. So coming out from the TV, coming out from the computer screen, from the internet, and actually meeting together as bodies in the park was a really incredibly illuminating, inspiring experience. I mean, there was at one point I saw this businessman walking around with the "Occupy a Shower" sign, which was really revolting. But at the same time, I thought, no, but he's got something there, because really it's this wonderful stink, or this wonderful, it's not even stink, it's this wonderful aroma. Whitman said something about the aroma from armpits being aroma finer than prayer, and that's really what it was. It was the joy of us being actual bodies together, transcending our addiction to virtual events. And that was really like one of the key inspirations of the park, and continues even right now with us here in this room, or with the occupation in the cafe downstairs. I want to map Zuccotti Park just to give you a sense of the geography of the place. One of the things I love is that it has so many names: Zuccotti Park, Liberty Square, Zuccotti Square. But Cecilia noticed that it actually has a coffin shape, which is wonderful, because it did have this feeling of resurrection, like we were resurrecting the body politic in the process of occupying the park. So it's something like this, to just approximate it, right? So here we had the library. And that was key. That was kind of a portal. A lot of people would come in through this way. Here we had the Tree of Life. So called because it was a tree that somehow survived the destruction of the World Trade Towers. And that was a really energetic, prayerful space where a lot of meditation groups met, and a lot of ceremonies were held. We had a full moon ceremony there, one of the full moons, and there was sage being burned, and there were candles being burned. There was this great thing where one of the cops came over and told us that we can't have candles. We have to turn off the candles. And this great shaman, Mike, who was there, he blew out all the candles, and then out of his plastic bag magically produced these battery-powered candles and put them around the tree. Exactly. This is great. I love the whole this change, this transformation in the body. Like instead of like going like this, which we're all sort of conditioned to do, which drowns out all sound. It's like we have the silence, kind of like the sound of one hand clapping, or the human mic. Instead of like, we take these obstacles they present to us, like no artificial amplification, and we turn those on their head, and they become empowering, because by using the people's mic, by saying mic check and by repeating these things, it becomes this kind of call and response church. It becomes very spiritual, and you actually process and absorb and learn the information much more because you're processing it through your body, through repetition, or maybe not even repetition. Maybe, as Gertrude Stein said, it's not repetition, it's insistence. So we're insisting on something. We're insisting that we are refusing to be slaves of the oligarchs on Wall Street. So that's the tree of life. Here was the joie de vivre, which is this fantastic big red orangish sculpture of these open tetrahedron beams that created by Marc de Souveraud. And it used to be near the Holland Tunnel, but after 9/11, after they had renovated the park and installed all these chess tables and stuff, they moved it here, sort of as a symbol of the rebirth of the neighborhood, as kind of a phoenix, right? So that was a huge space for meeting and for speakers. And I saw an amazing talk here by Robert Thurman, the great Buddhist professor and writer, an activist, and he had this wonderful moment at the end of his talk where he said, "Oh, and by the way, where's the sweetness of Jesus? Like people are supposedly so Christian in this country, but Jesus, said give your money to the poor, and that it's harder for a rich man to enter heaven than for a camel to get through the eye of a needle. So where is that Jesus? Where's the sweetness of Jesus?" And it was this amazing moment. And then at one point he said, "What does this mean?" Indicating the crucifixion. And he said, it means do your worst. You cannot destroy love, whatever you do. And that was really amazing because this kind of, at that moment, flashed on me as a kind of crucifix, but also as a kind of antenna that we were like receiving somehow messages from the future or something. I don't know. But it also seemed like a crucifix, but this love antenna crucifix through which we could channel this energy. A lot of speeches happen here, and there was an amazing speech by Cornel West, which he opened the General Assembly on September 27th by saying, "There is a sweet spirit in this place," and that's an amazing speech. Both of these speeches are on YouTube, and they're just fantastic. This over here was the drum circle, which was fantastic. It was the real pulse of the park. And there would be lots of general assemblies here. And for a while, there was kind of tension between the drum circle and the general assemblies, because when the general assemblies would be held, the drummers would refuse to stop drumming so that people could hear each other better here. And someone asked Thurman actually, like, well, what should we do, And Thurman was like, the line is non-violence. As long as they're not being violent, it's fine, Although you could make the General Assembly so fun that they can't resist them. So there were all kinds of tensions and differences and mixes, but it was all so beautiful, just all of us being there as bodies. This was the hearth, the food table, and info was here. So, yeah. And I really loved writing here. I guess I was thinking about what's the poetics, what's the poetry philosophy of like writing this experience down, and like why do it? Like what's the value of it? And I was thinking of it's like this one word manifesto, right? Istorin. It's istorin. It's a Greek word meaning from which we get history, but what it means, according to Charles Olson's reading of Herodotus, is what one finds out. So let me just actually read that to you so I can get it precise. Istorin in Herodotus appears to mean finding out for oneself instead of depending on hearsay. History is story. It means nothing else as a noun. Herodotus was the first to use the word, sign enough of the 5th century change, and he used it as a verb to find out for yourself. Then you tell. Or if you don't, it tells. The evidence is there, for you did find out. It is in this sense, the perspective sense, that history in this century has represented itself. So this reminds me of Blake's line, "I must create my own system or be enslaved by another man's." So that was really my passion, was to go there and find out for myself what was going on. And there were all these people during this occupation coming up to me and asking me, well, like, what's going on there? Like, what are you guys really doing? You guys are a bunch of hippie flakes. Come on, get real. But it was like, no, you have to come and experience it. You can't depend on hearsay. It's like we're in this, we're absolutely up to our eyeballs in hearsay through internet, through television, through whatever kind of media that we're all in some sense addicted to. This was a chance to really transcend that and to go to the actual place and to listen. And I was really stuck when I first got there. It was so overwhelming. It was such a sensory overload. I didn't know, like, how do I write here at all? So Olson was very helpful in that, in just thinking of finding out for yourself in history. And also, I have a really fortunate to have like a very personal relationship to that cityscape, because I walk almost every morning there with my wife Cecilia, and I walk her to work at Deutsche Bank, and then I've been doing this for a long time, in September 2010, after walking her to work that morning, I had been staying up really late and like walking through Wall Street and thinking about it. It was like just after the anniversary of 9/11 in September 2010. And I was really feeling like down and sleep deprived, and everything seemed really hallucinatory. I felt like I could walk down Wall Street in the evening, at night, and kind of that twilight hypnosis hour, and kind of like hear the voices of the dead in some way. Like I could hear them saying like bury us now, you know, like this kind of chant of bury us now, because there is this feeling there still of like this of the dead who have been who died in the World Trade attacks, being exploited to make war, you know, like because of all which I don't think they would have wanted, but it's a real catastrophe. It's a complete desecration of them. So in a sense, that's another thing that was so beautiful about this gathering, is that, you know, here we have this like 10th anniversary where all these statesmen are gathering at Ground Zero and commemorating it, but it's still, you can't help but seeing this military vibe. and these wars that are still happening in the Middle East. And it was very sad. So this was kind of an opportunity to create an alternative 10th anniversary commemoration by actually occupying this liminal space between Ground Zero and Wall Street, and to speak in that border, and to be a becoming, not a series of demands that can be documented. And I kept thinking, they kept asking us, what are your demands, as if we were holding someone for ransom, but really we're just there as this becoming, as these bodies that are speaking out for the need for change, for a change in the system, for a dissolving of this greed pyramid that Wall Street has become this casino. So I'm going to read some poems now, and this first one happens. This first one is the one that I wrote. The reason I want to read this is because I read this a lot at the beginning at the Poetry Assembly, which was this great thing that we did here on the steps. And every Friday night we would gather, and everyone would get 3 minutes to do their poem. And it was wonderful. It was like one of those, it was like a new kind of poetry reading where all of these groups that are usually segregated in the usual New York poetry land, like spoken word poets, like St. Mark's Church poets, like I don't know, more academic poets at universities, all of these groups dissolved their borders and came together here on Friday nights. And it was like we remembered we're one tribe of poets, and that we're here to subvert, to destabilize the status quo, to make revolution. I love one of the things Cornel West said during his speech was, "Don't be afraid of the word revolution." It's a nonviolent revolution, but nevertheless it is revolution. So this is one thing. This is from September 2010, and it's some kind of. I was hearing these voices, and I had some kind of premonition of what was happening. And I started this book around this time called Wolfman Librarian. So it's wonderful to be reading this in a library, in a poetry library. Wolfman Librarian and the Trembling Pair of Actor Hands. Tell me this grove will protect me from World Trade Towers lightning forking the brain. Mine, mine. Why are there trains under the grass and my butt is wet? Why do you constantly interrupt yourself? My rhythm is the rhythm of interruption. I walked down Wall Street tonight and it felt as if someone was walking inside me, another person taking steps for me. Fuck you who told me I couldn't write September 11th poetry. I'm moving to 11th Street. I'm breathing again. The world will become a new city. People will hug in the street Elizabethanly. We will invent a new language together. Queen Elizabeth will return from her Covent Garden, and all will sing opera La Boheme on the steps of the Federal Building, joining hands. Why are there trains rumbling beneath this grass? The love interest woman will not die of TB at the end of La Boheme. The snow will go away, and we will find it again in our pencil cases when we awake first graders, sweating the first day of first grade. And happy birthday, William Carlos Williams, September 17th, 2010. How old would you be today? What would you say about the towers? Would you believe me if I told you the unburied dead of Wall Street, one of them walked in me, took my steps? Is this my flesh? Peripheral vision, greenery, wolverines gnawing at me and vomiting me up. A new man with powers to heal. Wolfman librarian, Wolfman, Wolfman librarian, Wolfman. Welcome to the world to heal. Happy birthday, librarian, Wolfman. Go to heal now, Wolfman librarian. Go to heal or else lose all your fur and emerge pink with a pus groaning along your collarbones. Aliens, but not from the video games. The alien you are is here. Can you hear him? You are him, Wolfman librarian. You are her. You are not a man, a wolfman, or a librarian. You are a woman. Welcome to your first assignment of healing the whole world, listening to all the cries of the world. Guan Yin, Bodhisattva. No, you aren't her. You are a manifestation of her. Are you? You are, Wolfman librarian. Wake up. You want to know why there are kerosene torches by the fountain? Ask one. Ask the flames. Ask the flames. Lie down and nap. And find yourself, after years of searching, napping on the grass, the subway rumbling beneath you. 7 earthquakes have happened, and entering from the left, Snowman Ice Age. How cute of you to bring in the snowman from the machine. Snowman Ex Machina to wrap up the ending, but I just cut his head off with my Frisbee. Bill, happy birthday, Dr. Owl. Do you believe, don't you know I felt a spirit of the unburied Twin Towers dead walking inside me on Wall Street, and I could not wake up for long enough to tell you I must pause and nap. My Wolfman paws, tearing apart the notebook given to me by the librarian gone fishing. I'm not listening. I'm letting the talk dead through me, the dead talking to me. Remove my eardrums and replace them with earbuds. Walkman disco fist throbbing in my head. I release you and get my eardrums back. The peripheral greenery wolverines are eating me and vomiting me up onto a mound where pieces of me are sucking at each other and sticking together to form a new man with the power to heal everybody, even with his trembling actor hands. Wolfman librarian, a man is walking inside you who jumped from the South Tower, 54th floor. Who is he? He just jumped again. You are jumping together. Splat. No, no, no. You are scaring yourself too much, Wolfman, end of horror show librarian. You look very suspicious in your big beard and gray backpack. Are you a suicide bomber? No, I'm Wolfman librarian. Heal in my glow. A saxophone player blows Naima by John Coltrane on the Twin Towers side of this park. He plays me home just when I thought I would have to listen to the dead forever. But I'm already home, but I only know it because of his saxophone. The wolverines are gone, sitting on the grass. How do you feel? Like the trains rumbling beneath my feet are turning leaves. That's nice, but how do you feel now about preferring nothing, having no opinions? That's just a lot of Zen shit. I love my companions, that's all. I'm Wolfman librarian, and I'm a woman. Don't let this dick fool you. It is a pen I fuck with. The dick is just there for show. No, no, no. Fuck now, Wolfman librarian. Fuck me now, Wolfman. Aria, aria, aria. Fuck me now. Peripheral, greenery, wolverines are eating me and vomit me up into a pile where I become a new man, Wolfman librarian, to heal, to heal, to heal. Wolfman librarian, heal thyself. Know thyself. Self, 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 always changing as time itself. Then who are you with this trembling pair of actor hands? I don't know. Not Wolfman librarian, not Wolfman librarian. I go to find a pile of healing snow to jump into, but all I find is grass to sit on, with trains rumbling beneath, in the deep, the unseen, Hades eating his own pomegranate crown, spanking Persephone across his lap. She's crying, she's me. I'm crying, I'm me, not Persephone or Wolfman librarian, only me. It's sweet. But you can't forget or escape death by becoming somebody else. But I'm not myself either. I'm time, not separate from anything else. The circular fountain, the antique kerosene torches, the cellophane rectangle of a cigarette pack reflecting light from gray sky on grass. The sky's not gray. You look up, patches of blue. Get new shoes. You need better traction to walk through rain on slippery Manhattan streets. Wolfman librarian of Manhattan, here to heal the 9/11, 11/9, September 11th dead and play them home with the trombone pieces lodged in your throat. You are choking. Cough it up. You vomit yourself up out of yourself, and wolverines and peripheral greenery are here to suckle your red thread until white milk bursts forth and you sing together beneath the trees, wordless songs, and learn to breathe awake again. Now the sky is gray, the patches of blue are going. Only the water spirits are protecting you by this circle fountain. Rise, thank them, and move on. The clouds are rolling through the typewriter sun. I really am Wolfman Librarian. For the porpoises of this poem, sunning on the rocks by the fountain, I put them there with imagination, not mine, not yours, the property of nobody, and Wolfman Librarian, librarian of the sun, arranging burning libraries in the sky into one light of knowledge on a ledge in the Caucasus. Eagle, eagle, have another bite of me. Knowledge is better than pâté, and whatever I have to pay for it, it's okay. Even your beak in my liver is lightning, 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 even is my birthmark. My book, this cloud evaporating as the sun reads it closely, a close reading, opening the clouds, anus miraculous with his solar speculum. Inside, the humans are in utero. You can see by the way they're screaming in the shadow of buildings not there. Even 9 years later, we will never heal. That's okay. Our wound gives us something to do. Dress it, undress it, have babies with it. The firstborn is Wolfman Librarian, not daughter, not son, but moon and sun and lightning. The train rumbling under the grass and rising to walk before you pass out is your only task right now. If I had legs, I would. But peripheral greenery wolverines eat me and vomit me up, and I am reforming as a new man, Wolfman Librarian, knocked down 7 times, getting up 8. Here to heal you, even if you don't want me and curse me. Here to heal you, Wolfman Librarian. Here to heal even you, yourself, hairy and trembling, with your actor hands, hearing every distress signal from the 3 billion broken sailboats inside. The peripheral greenery wolverines are eating me and vomiting me up onto a mound where pieces of me are sucking at each other and sticking together to form a new being with power to heal every being by hearing its word for help in 3 billion languages and listening to it, descending, glistening on wet wolf fur steps to heal everybody with his trembling wolfman hands. No more librarian, only night now. On, on, on. Om. 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 So that's the beginning of the book. And then, now I want to go into the actual, this is a book within the book. This is actually the book that ends the book. It's called Zuccotti Leaves, and that's actually one of the most powerful things I found about the park is this like actual manifestation of time, because when I got there, the leaves were green, and by the time we had gotten attacked and cleared out by the NYPD, the leaves were yellow or gone. So it's this incredible reminder of impermanence and of this context of constant change and catastrophe. It was really like every day the atmosphere was completely different. You really, Heraclitus was right. You can't step in the same Zuccotti Park twice. And the leaves were a reminder of that. And of course, I was also thinking of Whitman's leaves of grass and notebook leaves, notebook pages, and the getting back into writing on the notebook, actually not typing, but just channeling everything that I heard outside in conversations and also inside my head, directly into the notebook. So this is from, there's 2 parts. There's Zuccotti Leaves 1, the scales, and there's Zuccotti Leaves 2, Scorpio strophe. And one of the practices that I've been experimenting with, because Gary Snyder, the great Buddhist poet, said that every poet should know at least one form of traditional magic. So I've been really drawn to I don't want to call it astrology because that sounds very vague and I don't really know what we're talking about there. But I like to call it astrophilia, the love of the stars. And I like to think about, experiment with time in the sense of like, what sign am I writing in right now? What sign am I living in? So at the time the sun was in Libra. So that first part is called Zuccotti Leaves 1, the scales. So I was experimenting with Libra ideas like the scales and justice and the mirroring and coupling and gathering together as a group. With this part, towards the end of October, when the sun entered Scorpio, there was a very noticeable change in the atmosphere. It got much darker, more chthonic, more underground energy of this sort of descent. That's one of the other kind of mythical things I was projecting on the whole experience, probably just to make myself feel more comfortable, but also to make it feel just more alive, and to orient myself kind of as these feelers, these like mythological feelers. So I was thinking of the time frame as Virgo the Virgin, September 17th, being Cora, and being kidnapped by Hades by death and taken into the underground, and then the transformation into Persephone and winter, which is all part of the Eleusinian mysteries. So I felt like, among other things, I felt like we were reinitiating this process of mysteries. It really felt like this very. It is really a spiritual movement, which is why, people get so frustrated. We don't have demands. We don't have a clear set of list of demands. How about just breathing? How about just remembering that we're breathing, and that we can breathe like from here too, not just from here or here. So this is Zuccotti Leaves 2. Actually, this first part I wrote in Libra. So this first part is Zuccotti Leaves 1, the scales. So many spirits of the dead are here. We are encamped at the edge of a mass grave, the World Trade mass grave. We are here, among other things, to rescue the dead from being used as war fuel. Their names and memories have been sullied enough and exploited to justify permanent war. They deserve their place in our democracy and help to protect the holy people's site of Liberty Park. And this is from Zuccotti Leaves 2, Scorpio Strophe. Strophe, I find a really inspiring word because it means turning point or turning. It was in the dance when the Greeks would say the poems on stage, they would go, one strophe would go this, and then there'd be the turn, and there would be another strophe, right? Which is great because you get all locked up in these like kind of page-bound forms of poetry, and you forget that it originates in the body. And so much of this was about remembering what it is to be bodies together in public for something other than the purposes of consumption. It was wonderful. We were not buying anything there. Anyone could take anything out of the library, and they didn't have to bring it back if they didn't want to. They could bring stuff, take stuff out. It was very free. Zuccotti Leaves 2, Scorpio Strophe, Wolfman Librarian Cyclotron. A whole generation paralyzed by internet. Everything on internet is porn, whether it's porn or not. Paralysis is you, jerking off against the screen, clicking the mouse in your pants, moving the joystick in Sprightly Dance, in Coke Dance, in 7-Up Dance. Soda bubbles dance inside you, so what? You are a soda, you think, but you are an Oda. You are not a coda in a coma or a Kaposi sarcoma. You are a living human being, and it's almost as if we leaped beyond the blue shield of our flickering internet screens into the open air of history, to be bodies together in the mud again. Liberty is never more beautiful than when the cops move in and take down the tent and the books remain. What thou lovest well remains. The phalanx of particulars, the books. I have a particular feeling in my crotch. I have a familiar who is my boss. The black cat in my pants doesn't cross my path, so it must not be bad luck. The Russian blue cat is gray on the doorstep I saw with my brother Alexander walking home last night after eating at Kafana, Serbian restaurant on Avenue C. I need a beer to prepare for this reading. I need another coffee. I need a saxophone reed to stir my drink with. What kind of saxophone? A martini, please, with extra olives. Oh, live a bit, olive oil. Where is your Popeye? He's looking for Sweet Pea up in the construction beams of the new Freedom Tower, towering above the World Trade mass grave. The new Freedom Tower with the Starbucks rooftop garden, with the soy milk cannon on top of it, squirting at traffic copters for an efficiency test. Yes, the traffic copters are healthy now and organic, and no pilot was harmed in this presentation. Kwanon, calm down and wipe the windshield clean of soy milk with your golden sleeve. You have very bad posture, Wolfman, for one so invested in loving yourself, you soy milk shooter. I am not. I am a boy milk shooter. Bye-bye. I am not Wolfman or anyone. I am boy milk shooter. Joy is my name. I am 3 days old, and all the colors of a Martian gold. I met Valerie in the street by accident. She said, why don't you call me? I want to do that play, Skinner on the Earth. I don't want to do that play, but let's meet in the library so we can talk about doing something new. Okay, she said, and floated away. Spectral, probably on tranquilizers or mood stabilizers. I was on 2 years ago. Yes, Depakote almost buried me too in its dope coat cemetery. Don't let it do it to you, dear Valerie, dear Val Singer. But I don't want you to feed yourself cut up pieces of a plastic soda straw either. Oh no, please come back down from the ether and be with us in peace. But the serotonin lack won't let that happen. I promise you that. What will you do with no serotonin in your brain? Are you capable of handling that lack? Drugs won't put the serotonin back. They will fake it. I am waiting for the Trinity Church Cemetery to get up and walk over to my apartment and bury me right here on 11th Street. I won't move until my demands are met. Thank you, Stephen, for letting me know the library is okay. The books are still there in rainproof plastic crates. The tent is gone, though, but in its place, books and blue tarp life again take place. But I know you said how you loved last night rolling around naked. Yes, D is for death, but it is also for, you said you loved rolling around naked in your sleeping bag for 20 minutes before falling asleep, the dear singer Michael in your arms. Waking, it was noon. Dixon Place called and said they wanted to set up a reading for the Occupy Wall Street Poetry Anthology. Are we there yet? Time is weird now. It is blue time, blue ravine time, blue tarp, lifetime blues of a Wolfman librarian saxophone player with no cues to follow, just these eardrums, and all the marrow to suck out of his horn, and blow to cure the leukemia in the world from leukos meaning wolf and lupus meaning wolf. Disease gives wolves a bad name. Wall Street gives wolves a bad name. Goldman Sachs, I will not feature your name, I just did. Medicine gives wolves a bad name because it goes into the tents to cure us. Looking for wolves, the wolves took me away to raise me in a tarp blue cave. Jesse Jackson saved the medical tent. Who showed up today to save the library tent? Not me. Folks resisted, but police insisted, it says on the Occupy Wall Street Library website. Liberty, library, library. Why am I home at my computer surfing the real ocean to surf is the blue tarp tent waves, tent waves, tent waves. Here come the tents and waves to save the day, and Burnham Wood will come to hide Dunsinane Hill, Wall Street, knocking King Humpty Dumpty Bloomberg off his digital ticker throne, and his ticker will go broke as he never did, but he will break. There's always death, as for all of us, there is something to look forward to. Death, the real and only inclusive, all-inclusive, lawless democracy, inclusive of everyone and everything at once. But that's no reason to worship it. I am not. I am his librarianship, the Wolfman. Hear me howl! Even though the howl was trademarked years earlier by my great predecessor, Allen Ginsberg, I can howl myself out of quotation marks. You can sing your way out of American quotation marks. Dear, sad flarfists, come to Marx, Daddy Marx, come to Marx. My birthmark hurts. It is a map, the red one of Yugoslavia, the Union of Socialist Slavic Republics. Yes, of Yugoslavia. I am the ferry calling all those Yugos on my back, carrying all those Yugos on my back, calling all the Yugos on my back. Drive! My back is for freight. I am the ferry boat, and I am a fairy, and I love my lady. Her name is Seahorse. I am Seahorse. I am Wood Rabbit Wolfman Tragedian, tuning up the aria for the organization of all my organ grinder and dancing monkey selves. Yes, they all will come sit themselves down on my lap, while I, their amiable cheeks do coy, because I've been feeling so Serbo-American lately. Highly pessimistic, yet still at the People's Library, a mystic or a mystic pretend. Who knows which is which? Meet me at the Life Tree if you wish. I'll be there with Seahorse and Stephen and Michael and Penguin. With all my friends, I'll be there pressing my palms against the green trunk of the Life Tree and feeling the sap inside me boiling green. My favorite color for the fever these years will be, these years will be, these ears will be. R, 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 R. That was a really amazing moment at the Tree of Life where I had this vision where it was like a really rainy morning, and I walked over to the Tree of Life and I just like put my palms on it. I pressed my palms against the trunk, and I could feel like I could feel like this kind of like green sap energy rushing into me and also like shooting out the top of the tree. This kind of green field of energy, this kind of green protective field of spirits that was covering the park. And I could see the whole thing as if from the sky. Like I could look down at it and see it protected by this green sap spirit energy. It was really beautiful. It's difficult to represent it. It's kind of a erasure of ego. Like I was there one minute, and the next minute I was there, which was wonderful. One morning, the cops came and took away the library generator, and it was really sad because we had just installed it, and the generator was run on biofuel, so it posed no risk, but they took it away on the grounds that it was a fire hazard. But as I was just telling Christina before this, my beard is also a fire hazard. So this is generator. You think you can take my generator. I am the generator you can't take. You are dragging your net for fish, but I am the ocean. We are the ocean. We are the maritime percent. We are flooding you. This Zuccotti pool is up to your necks. You think taking a generator and a tent away will make a dent in our operations? You are in a serious surgery you don't even know the implications of. We have discovered you don't have a heart, but a tear gas canister where a heart used to be. And Scott Olson will rise from his hospital bed and join us again. And I am Scott Olson, and you are Skull Olson. And I am the crack in Scott Olson's skull, and I speak history now. You are dead generators, taking yourselves away, returning yourselves to the shop you came from when you gave your life away for shopping, when you gave your heart away for a white bouquet of swinging plastic cuffs at your hip. You can cuff us, and you can cut off the circulation in our wrists, but you cannot stop this generator heart we all beat with. It runs on blood, which is a biodiesel fuel, completely green, like the moving forest you soon will be buried in. Dunsinane, insane, USPD, we will convert you to humans again, yet it will not take bloodshed to do it, but magic of word and breath and footsteps. You will never sleep again. Even when you're dead, we will wake you up with the scratching of our pens. We cut through the bars of the pig pen holding pen with the penknife life we live. When, right now, no, right now, no, right now, the end. Today the generators were taken away, or so they thought. The generators are our hearts. So I wrote that the morning that the generator was taken away in preparation for the poetry assembly that night, which I read at the poetry assembly. And one of the really amazing things about reading at the Poetry Assembly was the presence of undercover cops. There was lots of people there who were sort of dressed as if they were beggars or homeless people, but really they were undercover cops. You would see them swaying, pretend drunk one moment, and the next moment they would be videotaping you. So I read that at the Poetry Assembly, and these are some other things I wrote on the way to the Poetry Assembly that night. The diving board of the recticle. What thou lovest, hell, Ezra, is what you love. Why always hell? The descent beckons, the variable foot is pierced, of Chiron limping under his lamp of Diogenes, the sailor holding aloft his laptop, looking for an honest man. Diogenes' laptop is the title of my diary, and my library is so stuffed with books it will take a sine wave to wash it away. Here it comes. Don't be proud. Here it comes. Here comes the sine wave. Here comes the sign. You will be executed with Dostoevsky at dawn. Never mind the spanking. Get right to the pardoning me. I am ready for my MFA in Siberia. The centaur is here, riding in from Centaurus. Chiron is here, not for pomp I do this, or pop, or to be popular in the classics department, or with the LASIK eye surgeon, or the basic computer programmer. No, I don't know how to use BASIC or any other computer program because I see fuzzy, peach, fuzzy, wolf, peach, fuzzy from LASIK eye surgery. My seeing eye, wolf, peach will guide me. I am not blind, I have the lamp top to guide me. And Chiron, mentioned here, is not to please you, Professor Classics, though I love you, it's true, with your six-pack of PBR and night mustache. I sing Chiron because I come from Illyria, Balkans. I have balkanitis in the ears, inner ears, a touch of graphomania. Blessed be when you've got a pen and a human microphone of a notebook echoing back at you. Yoo-hoo! Write me to death, you spirits. The sine wave rises and hits all these points. You cannot remanufacture them later. Pay attention now. Attention, Senor Yorick. Come up from the grave with your badminton shuttlecock. I am ready to be bad with you in the dirt as a way of ending the war. Chiron is my heritage, not a literary illusion. Chiron is Virgo me at my most didactastical pterodactyl self. I think it's in Sears. I shoplifted a whole brown sofa under my red sweatshirt to remember my childhood, cuddling with my brother on it while my father beat my mother and she yelled at him. And now the yell is my bed, 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 bed. Mouth of the longest days. Now mouth. Gemini mouth, mouth. Mouths, twin mouths, triplet mouths, tripping balls to speak it, how linear time is an arrow, missing the mark every time. Helder linear time, an arrow hitting me in the bullseye tip of the tongue so I can speak of thinning hair, full hair, hairless hair. On the New York subway, I am the air of Wall Street emptiness. It isn't Zen, it is what isn't. You cannot get to it with violence. Pull down thy manatee from the sun. Pull down thy manatee ego, sick, poisoned with the tuna in the Bay of Azure, like the Azores pass, your life will pass. I say, pull down thy manatee from the net. It is not yours or thine or anybody's, copper, lexicographer of law. We are here to be lawless and thaw the ice block from our heads. The foreclosed-on ice house still melts around my head. My head is its only inhabitant. I want out of this. There is no out to go to, but in. And pull down thy manatee ego, heaving in the net above you, copper. You are not Hephaestus, you are dragging your net to get us, but we are not the fish, but the ocean! Ha ha ha! The ocean! Ha 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 ha! Copper, I knew Hephaestus. I am Hephaestus. Copper man, you're no Hephaestus. You're catching nobody in that net but yourself. This goes for you, internet cops, too. Toodaloo, surveillance. Choke on this green veil breath is when you are not honest with yourself. Come join us, copper, and then the real revolution begins. Police and people and penguins marching on the infected whitehead in Washington to pop that zit and clear it from the face of terror. Tara, terror, tara, terror, but no terror but breathing in the present of the now time footstep poem. The variable measure reached at last. The variable footstep footing it fleetly here and there, while sweet sprites the burden bear. We are all sprites, Copperman. Put down your mace and the white loopy shit tails hanging at your wrist, and join us. I'm tired of chanting shame, shame, shame. There is no shame in coming out of the frame. The frame of the law is the law that protects rich thieves like this. Policeman, you are a man and a woman, 1 and 2 and 3 of the million genders we are collectively here in Liberty Gender City. You are not a policeman. You are not a man or woman. You are a spiritual being craving a human experience. Brethren, sistren in your cistern, choking on plastic cuff floss. Join us. Join us. There is no reverend, irreverent, or confession that can save you now, man. Welcome to Sherwood Forest, merry human. We are encamped at the edge of a mass grave, the World Trade mass grave. The revolving door in the subway, the steps behind it lead up. I'm going up to Liberty Park. I'm sick of beating my telltale heart inside the Wall Street walls. I am Liberty the Scrivener, and I prefer not to be anything but the breathing body Liberty nucleus today. I am just one nucleus in a body politic, holistic thistle springing up from every footstep I take to Liberty Park. This part is called Things to Do at the People's Library at Zuccotti Park. This is after the park was attacked by the cops and cleared out. And I was having really intense post-traumatic issues. And I thought I was completely spent and done with writing for a while, but my friend Paul Foster Johnson, who's a terrific poet and edits the Poetry Project newsletter at St. Mark's Church, he asked me to write something for the newsletter about the library. So thanks to him, I was able to sort of cobble together these thoughts. Wolfman librarian, stand-up tragedian. O wind, if UC Davis comes, can Kent State be far behind? Did you hear the one about the library organized by American citizens, destroyed in one night by the New York Police Department? It's so quiet out there you can hear a stone's throw from here. I always like to open with a joke, you animal faces, LOLing from the chandeliers of meat for the holidays. Dear Bloomberg, I want the art I made for the library back, and I want the library back so that I can laminate your resignation letter and put it in the reference section for future Martians to study the grammar of plutocrats. Colorful death scene for the holidays. Joy to the world, the law has come. Let the rich receive their bling. I know I'm supposed to move on, but I refuse to abbreviate my mourning of the library and Liberty Park encampment. It's not McMorning, it's mourning. It's not mourning and melancholia, it's simply mourning. Maybe I need some moly to get me out of my pig trance. I mean, could it look any more like a graveyard now? I mean, could it look any more like a graveyard now? From a Burger King window. POW camp. Dear Mom, please send socks. I forgot them in my drawer. Luckily, I have statue eyes, so pepper spray has no effect on me. Happy Thanksgiving from all of us here at Villa Cather. Legalize literacy. Legalize leisure. Legalize library. Although Fort Sumter has been taken, I feel confident that this conflict will not last longer than a couple months at most. It is an alien multiverse, and eyes are corresponding. Bloomberg's bowling team is armed with perfume canisters that can spray Chanel No. 5 at anyone within 30 feet. I'm going Christmas shopping. Mark Lamoureux. Everything Bloombag says and does just gets more and more odious. I'm waiting for him to go full-on Caligula one of these days and just get up there on New York 1 and start banging his sister or something. Filip Marinovich, that would be too stylish for him. He wishes he was Caligula. As it is, he is Colonel Sanders of the headless, genetically engineered chicken army. Occupy Wall Street PTSD, just the high points. I woke with a honey locust tree in my throat. I can't countenance the sight of police covering Liberty Park with black netting. Zuccotti fascist yellow vests of Brookfield Properties stormtroopers. Yellow leaves of Liberty Park. What if my leaves are falling like its own? Yellow jackets are bees who prophesy adversaries and help us secretly too with revolution. Yoo-hoo! Liberty Park PTSD. What are the symptoms? The Night Sea Library. Waking, it was gone. Where did you go, my beautiful library without mercy? Mercy is the library. The books of the library were laid to rest in a mass grave called sanitation. Yesterday I dreamed the end of libraries. Wolfman librarian, poet of a mania, whose stage is the top of the wall. Watch how you block that scene. You will fall. On what side? The no side side. This brightness, it doesn't lie. It doesn't tell the truth. It flies above the rubble, piling up a cigar for the angel of perplexity. At the wall which will be your last one. How do you talk about trees in a poem? The trees are full of policemen. Oh, green, yellow, and not there, Zuccotti trees, Zuccotti leaves, all is imp and impermanence, but I'm not enlightened enough to be okay with any of it. In fact, I'm drunk, and my stomach hurts, the state dissolving in my gut dissolved, and I lie in state at the Capitol, even I, Dr. Zhivago in the American fall, of Go at the Wall, which will be your last one. Plutocracy, the UV rays kill the rich too, reaching down through the deregulated ozone layer cake to wring another banker neck and middle-class neck and homeless neck in one gesture. Joke time! Welcome to skin cancer, peeling skin bills, dollars, dollars, get your thrills. I made a doll of dollars, now I stick pins in it. George Washington falters, it's cold on the Delaware River bottom. Where, Delaware, we're not this planet anymore. Mass eviction of a race, the human one. Eviction of a park, it was not, but an attack in a civil war. The young revolutionary spoke the Fox News reporter into silence with his blue Union Army cap. Fort Sumter has been taken as I write this. Send the tide, send McClellan, send Grant, Sherman. Our march to the sea begins. We are the sea. No marching. Only the fire in boots walks over us, all unimpressed with any revolutionary, counter-revolutionary activity. In any case, right or left. Right, left. Fire in boots marches us into outer space. Habitable space in outer space. An internet cafe. I hope so. The Nescafe tastes so good with human flesh in it. Is that homegrown, organic human? Delicious. Delicious. Aliens. It is an alien multiverse, and eyes are corresponding. Dichten equals expandare. Motto of a Dick Tracy, that is. Wolfman Librarian was here. Wolfman Librarian is here. And where is that? Chicken fat. And why? Chicken pie. Occupy. Occupy. Thank you. So thanks. So we can do a Q&A or a discussion now if you want, whatever you want to ask me. Go ahead.
Or if people don't have questions, they can come
Go ahead.
to you.
How did you nickname yourself Wolfman? Was that something that came from the outside, or personal sense?
I was actually, I was sort of reeling from the death of my grandfather in September of 2007, and I was looking for ways of like he kept appearing in my dreams, but like as a vision more than like a regular kind of dream. And I kept thinking, how can I reconnect with him and like as poetry as like the one place remaining where I can still talk with him. And I was thinking of how the wolf, and my family is Serbian, they come from Serbia, and I was thinking how the totem of the Serbian people is the wolf. So I was thinking of this transformation of what it means to be, to have this delusion, this lycanthropy of turning into a wolf. But at the same time, it was like this way, it was like the disease and the cure at once. It was like this disease of this lingering grief and melancholy, but also like a complete merging with that grief and melancholy through this transformation or becoming animal, through which I could still communicate with him. But at the same time, I didn't want it to just be this like violent aspect of Wolfman. I wanted to also make it be a librarian, because that would be like this more of a dialectic where I could shift, and also because as I was talking earlier about astrophilia, because I have my sun in Virgo and my moon in Pisces, so I was thinking in terms of like Virgo being very stereotypically neat and organized and a librarian type, whereas Pisces is the opposite pole on the chart, on the zodiac chart. And it's more of like this kind of wild, intuitive, telepathic character. So that coming out with the moon at night. So I was thinking of that transformation of that. It's kind of for me, Wolfman Librarian is kind of a reminder. It's like the chorus, like in jazz they say like play the head, which is like when you get kind of lost in jamming in outer space, and at certain points you can return to the grounding of the head, where you can remember the territory from which to depart into adventure again. So Wolfman Librarian is this kind of name, and also this like reminder of roots, of like where I come from and how that informs how I'm seeing things now, like how it's a way of sort of catharsis of conditioning, and a way of in this kind of dream space, talking with ancestors, talking with the dead. Yeah, it's sort of this shamanic figure that comes from this deep wound of grief and mourning, but attempting to convert that into this healing ritual of poetry.
It does seem to bring together both the creaturely and the embodied, like you were talking about with Occupy Wall Street, the wolf man, with the intellectual, with the librarian, and this kind of fusion. I was wondering if you could just talk about the mourning that you seem to have gone through after Occupy Wall Street to a certain extent, and the loss of the loss of that congregation, in terms of poetry. I mean, you seem to have, in some ways, taken the extrovertedness of that experience, and now it's a moment to maybe channel it through the singular again out into some other mode. Could you talk about what's been happening since, both for yourself and for people that you met there and encountered?
Sure. In terms of personally, in terms of like dealing with the trauma of the attack on the park and the clearing of the park, typing up these various notebooks has been incredibly healing for me as a way of like reclaiming that space. Like it's not there physically anymore, but that's the great thing about poetry. It can exist again in this kind of parallel universe that is present when we gather together to hear it or we read it in private. In terms of the collective, after this kind of licking wounds period, things are starting to happen again. It's sort of like the first rumbles of this spring resurgence, I think, are happening, and I'm more optimistic than I've been since the end of the encampment. My friend and fellow editors and really awesome poet Stephen Boyer, who I edited the Occupy Wall Street poetry anthology with him during the period of encampment, and since then he's been doing it by himself, and he's been doing a great job, and we're going to present a poetry assembly style celebration of the anthology at St. Mark's Church on this Friday night, actually. And so that's really great. There's been a lot of struggle. I mean, a lot of people, since, they lived in the park and they had nowhere to go to after the park, then they tried certain churches, but then, these cops started coming into the churches and, making inquiries and intimidating people. So there's been a lot of struggle, but I feel like there's slowly things are gathering together again, and this is great that this is happening here also in the building. So I feel a return of that sweet spirit that Dr. Cornel West was talking about, although I was convinced for a while that it was gone, and that was a hideous and bleak place to be in. But yeah, so it's the healing is taking place and the resurgence, and in spring it's going to be wild. I mean, I'm convinced in spring it's going to be, lots of beautiful, naked, sweating bodies in the streets again, resurrecting democracy.
I think that was Romney's slogan.
I hope so. I hope so. Good old
Maybe
Mitt.
we'll end there, unless, Carol, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah, well, just when you say poetry originates in the body, do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the inspiration, right? Is in spiritus, from the breath. So it was this feeling like instead of being kind of cramped in one's desk at home, and sitting down, I would be like, walking around the park and talking to people, and then like going away and jotting something in the notebook. So I was physically moving a lot more, and it was returning poetry to this kind of dance space, which it originally inhabited with dance and song and musical instruments. It's been very difficult for poetry, I think, this separation from music and dance and song, because that's where all these, I mean, strophe is not this thing on a page that's so many lines long and then there's a little white space. Strophe is, strophe, anti-strophe. So when you remember that, and that's like part of marching, of demonstrating too, like we're going up and down, and so this kind of embodied spirit, and it gets you back into your breathing. It gets you breathing from your belly rather than your chest, and that gives you a longer line, more freedom of thought, and it's just much more inspiring.
I think we'll end there.
Okay.
Everyone is welcome to come up and
Great. Thank you so much.